This is the Demystifying Mental Toughness podcast, hosted by David Charlton, and you're listening to this podcast to help you build your own mental toughness, or so that you can support other people or your clients better. Either way, you will learn more about developing this plastic personality trait that all but guarantees that you will perform better and lead a more prosperous life. Hi, and welcome back to the Demystifying Mental Toughness podcast with your host, David Charlton. I'm talking today, recording this from a sunny Newcastle upon Tyne. That's right, sun's shining, it's lovely blue sky outside, and the weather, well, it's warming up a little bit anyway. It's still that fresh wind, but it's looking good. Spring's on its way, and then the summer months and light nights soon. As far as this podcast goes, well, we are going to be talking about the future as well, in terms of procrastination, and specifically for youngsters in sport in mind. We're going to help parents look at ways to combat this, to help your children become better organised. You know, if you look at a lot of young, successful athletes, be it a David Beckham and Serena Williams or a Tiger Woods a good few years ago, or currently Emma Raducanu, well, arguably anyway. I know she had success in the US Open a couple of years ago. Obviously, she's had some struggles since, but, you know, she's been successful. Then there's a Jude Bellingham in football now. He's up and coming through. And, you know, one thing that stands out to me is that they've all displayed a large degree, a huge level of maturity at such a young age. I don't know any of them personally at all, but I would expect that they were better organised than a lot of young athletes. You know, it's often the case with youngsters, in certain sports anyway, that coaches do too much for them, that everything is laid on a plate, which can mean that they go on to struggle to make decisions, especially under pressure, and they can procrastinate. As I say, this is not across the board. Certainly when I've done work in gymnastics academies, this is definitely not the case. Kids muck in, helping coaches, they're carrying equipment, they're setting different things up. Personally, I thought that was great, and coaches from other sports can learn an awful lot from this. Back to procrastination and poor organisation though. Now, I'm busy. Later, tomorrow, that's when I'll do it. These are some of the things that you're going to hear from children, and adults for that matter. Though children, when they're asked to do their homework, complete some chores, when they're encouraged to do some extras in sport, to get fitter, to improve their technique, you might hear that from them. And this is actually pretty normal. A lot of people do delay and put things off till the next day or a couple hours later. Obviously, though, it isn't the hallmark of a champion, like the guys I mentioned earlier. And common reasons why kids do put off is that they perceive tasks as boring, they lack relevance towards their goals. Perfectionism can kick in too. Or, obviously, they might want to continue playing on their Xbox. Expectations from others and pressure and the amount of time tasks take, they also come into play here. These difficulties can then become damaging in terms of self-esteem or self-worth, which, in mental toughness terms, is that sense of can-do and life control. So, how do we overcome this challenge? How can we help children and young sportsmen and women overcome procrastination and become better organised? Well, I've got 3 ideas. So one is try getting them to make some checklists. Start with something as simple as 3 things to do on a checklist, and that might link to before training. So 3 things to do before training. Or it could be 3 things to do in your pre-shot routine. If you're a golfer or a batsman in cricket, a tennis or racket sports enthusiast, when thinking about the serve, you know, by referring to lists on a regular basis, your child's ability to strategize tasks, to organize their time will improve. Then we've got consider a kid-friendly planner. You know, the fact that you actually get them their own planner, they could view positively, especially if you do this in collaboration together. They're likely to think that you consider time management as valuable and that their time is valuable, that being organised is important and something worth celebrating. And if you look on the internet, there's plenty of fun and colourful planners out there for children to be creative. Then the third point would be establish training and practice routines. So maybe, you know, we could look at extras in this case. How can you help your child put to one side an extra half an hour to do those extras that are required to help them thrive and get better at their sport. Scheduling an appropriate time on a regular basis is going to encourage your child. And on that theme of encouraging your child, when the weather's poor, when they can't be bothered, encouragement really will be needed for them. And that can be your job as a parent. These ideas, I'm really hoping, will be a big help to youngsters. They are going to have a large bearing on how well they take on responsibility for their decisions as they get older. And as I alluded to earlier, the feelings of self-worth and importance, self-importance too, this will have an impact. I hope you found this useful. Please do sign up to our regular Conversations with Kids emails too. There's lots of helpful ideas here which you can implement into relaxed discussions with your kids, be it on the dinner table, on the sports field, or just when you're messing about spending some time with your kids. Next Friday, you're going to hear from a great guest as we get back to the interview style podcast episodes again. Have a fantastic week. If you enjoyed this episode of the Demystifying Mental Toughness podcast with David Charlton, do check out my website, sport-excellence.co.uk, and my online sport psychology resources. The Sport-Excellence website has essential resources for anyone looking to build their own mental toughness or the mental toughness of their athletes or teams, or if you want to achieve peak performance more often or optimal functioning. The Sport Excellence website has everything you need to keep moving forward and thrive. So go on, head over to sport-excellence.co.uk to find out more.